Welcome back, True Seeker. Earlier today, I put out a short video on the death of Eric Dane, most remembered for his role on Grey's Anatomy, also as the father in Euphoria, which they just announced a new season's coming out. He was also on The Last Ship, and I do believe that show came out in history on June 22nd, which this year will be the 1 year anniversary of us bombing Iran, as that's a topic in the news right now, bombing Iran again. But yeah, I caught wind of the fact that Netflix has a series, and apparently this isn't the first episode, but they're interviewing people who are dying. And right at the beginning, they say, nobody's going to see this until you're dead. And it's Eric Dane talking about living with ALS and giving people life advice. And it's actually, I just took the time to watch it before I went live. And it is, I think it's worth watching, actually. But of course, it is kind of sick how Netflix is cashing in on this while his death is viral in the news. And we're going to see just how perfect it is. I mean, it really is sick. And if he did die from ALS, I mean, this is a $1 million coincidence. For the person who I know will come through the chat and say, he's not even dead. It's just all part of the show. Maybe you're right, but I can't prove it. Neither can you. We can speculate. But I'm going to show just how perfect his passing is. And this morning's short video, I missed at least 3 key things. So we're going to get all those in here because something I should have talked about was Lou Gehrig. When you hear ALS, you probably think Lou Gehrig. He was the celebrity who died from it, famous baseball player. They used to call ALS Lou Gehrig's disease. I believe they started transitioning more to the 3-letter acronym about 2014 when the Ice Bucket Challenge was viral, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. I remember I had a friend who grew up in a wealthy oil family, and he was bragging online about how much money he had donated to the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Everybody was dumping buckets of ice over their head. Is there something to that, too, with all the ice stuff going on right now? It's one of the more famous ALS deaths at a relatively young age. But yeah, look at this, you guys. Look how perfect it is. I mentioned earlier that, Mr. Dane here had died 102 days after his birthday, and Euphoria's new season is coming out, and it's announced for April 12th, the 102nd day of the year. But what I overlooked is the gematria of Lou Gehrig, which equals 102. Again, ALS, commonly referred to as Lou Gehrig's disease. And notice further that from the release of the show today, Netflix's show about his death and living with ALS, again, they've released it one day after he passed. He passed February 19th. Netflix has put out the show February 20th, just in time for the weekend. They put out the show 102 days before the death anniversary of Lou Gehrig. So, again, just the improbability of that, right? The improbability that it would work out like that. This man dying from Lou Gehrig's disease dies 102 days after his own birthday, and then Netflix has out the special 102 days before the anniversary of Lou Gehrig's death. If you're trying to wake up your friends and family, you probably don't even want to go any deeper with it than that. People really struggle with this subject, and it's kind of sad that they do because it really is elementary. Again, you're just adding up words as numbers, which is an old world practice. It goes back to the original alphabets. This isn't anything new. It's something that's been around for thousands of years. But understanding that this is going on with English and the calendar and this ritualism, I think that's the piece that a lot of people just don't want to absorb. That's the cognitive dissonance. It scares them for one reason or another. But yeah, I want to go over his death from the top and cover the key details I did miss. I mean, we hit a lot of things this morning. Oh, by the way, his death at 53 and then this episode of Famous Last Words coming out. I should mention, again, if you're new here, gematria is the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. It does come from Kabbalah. Within English, there's 4 base ciphers, the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, and both orders with numerology applied. Lou Gehrig's birth name is Henry Gehrig, and you can see it equals 124. I put that up here just because the new season of Euphoria comes out on the 12th day of the fourth month. Could be a coincidence, could not. The 102 part's definitely not a coincidence. Could that be a coincidence? Maybe. Maybe. Probably not. And remember, euphoria, I mean, it's this word that's associated with a lot of things, including sports. A lot of people get euphoric feelings from their team winning and just the opposite when they lose. A lot of Seahawks fans feeling the euphoria right now. The 12s have won the Super Bowl 12 years after their last, beating the Patriots for the 12th time in the Patriots' 12th Super Bowl, going into the half 12-0. And it's sad that they don't even see it. But anyway, we'll come to the Seattle part because, of course, his best remembered role is set in Seattle with Grey's Anatomy. But yeah, look at it. Famous last words. This cipher is just taking the alphabetic order and applying numerology to each letter. And I was just teaching this in the local hair trimming place. Had a group of older women quite interested. The ladies who cut hair where I go to get my hair cut in this small town. Every time I come in, they want to know all the latest. So we were teaching gematria to a group of probably women mid 40s to 60s today, and they were getting it, and I think I tried not to tell them the darkest things because, I can get a little bit disturbing, but we were mostly going over the Seahawks Super Bowl. Anyway, I had to explain to him how the alphabetic order works and the alphabetic order with numerology. They could follow, so you should be able to follow too. But yeah, famous last words, alphabetic order with numerology applied. Famous last words, 53. The man just died at 53 in Los Angeles. And don't forget when LA lost in Super Bowl 53 to the Patriots, which also equals 53. And if you don't apply numerology, famous last words is 206. That's the Seattle area code. Again, he's dead 20 years to the day of making his debut on Grey's Anatomy, set in Seattle. For those of you guys who watch these goofy decoders in our community who make this work look bad, can I ask you guys to stop watching their channels? Do you guys want Gematria to be discredited because this group of goofies that all shout each other out? One of those goofies was in my chat this morning watching my video and then instantly went on and copied a lot of my work and added a whole bunch of stuff that didn't mean anything about anything. And then notice, if you watch his channel, he was shouting out all these weirdos who make the work look bad, who he didn't get any of this from. And then no mention of the guy he actually got the information from. It's just... it's like this weird clique of gematria decoders that just make the work look so horrible, and all they do is shout each other out. It's just really annoying. Of course, they all bite from yours truly, where everyone learned from, but it's not an ego thing. It's that these people are making the work look horrible, you guys, and we don't need them around. They're not helpful at all to our cause. They're not identifying anything that matters. They're just making the work look stupid. Oh, his middle name was William, and here's another William. Do you know that it's just the dumbest decodes? William is one of the most common names in the world. If you're going to connect this William to some other William that you were thinking about because you have a man crush on him or whatever, that's a dumb decode. How about talk about Lou Gehrig? Okay. So Eric Dane from the top. Again, the 102 piece. We hit it. 20 years to the day. 20 years to the day of making his debut on Grey's Anatomy. He's dead. And as we know, death, time, cross, seasons, all 20. Seen it a million times. We just saw a very similar ritual with the Kryptonite Singer. Very similar ritual with the Kryptonite Singer. Arturo Sosa, again, who is doing this? That's the question that should be answered in every decode. And these goofy decoders, they never want to talk about who's doing this. They just want to connect random things that have nothing to do with each other. Never talk about who is doing this. Again, it's the people who gave you the calendar and the language as you know it, and numbered the Bibles and set up this demented system. It should be talked about in every decode. If you don't mention this, your decodes are worthless. If you're not talking about who's bringing this evil into the world, your decodes are worthless. And what I noticed all these weirdo decoders like to do is attach it to nonsense, Satan is doing all of this. Okay, I'm not going to deny that there is dark spiritual energy, and these people, if you want to call it the entity Satan, are no doubt working for that type of thing. But it's man who's doing this. Again, man is responsible responsible for numbering the Bible. Man is responsible for standardizing English as a 26-letter alphabet. Man's also responsible for the calendar. And man can kill man. And man can manipulate man. And man can lie to man. And you would describe all these things in the Christian upbringing as satanic, doing all this evil stuff. Does that mean Satan is actually pulling the trigger and putting the poison in? No. And when you don't talk about this and you connect it to all this nonsense, you're just creating this huge diversion that's not the truth. And I get tired of morons coming in here like, Zach, just because their opinion's different doesn't mean they're wrong. No, they're wrong. They're wrong. And they wouldn't know anything about any of this if it wasn't for yours truly. But they've all clicked up. And the thing is, like, I made all these people too. You know, I promoted them. I gave them the followings they do have to start. And now they can't ever say thank you to teacher. Now they all want to talk about everything but what matters. No, these people are bad. And if you're supporting their channels, you're bad because you're making the work look like dog shit by helping these people get views and their stuff potentially showing up in a stranger's feed. Because I guarantee you, if somebody ever comes across one of their videos for the first time ever, they're going to think these people are lunatics because they are. Okay? We keep it real simple to understand. If you come across here and think I'm a lunatic, it's because you're a moron. If you can't see that the man who's dead from Lou Gehrig's disease 102 days after his birthday, and then the specials released 102 days before Lou Gehrig's, again, you're the moron. But if you come to one of the other guys, and he's like, well, his middle name was William, and, you know, this other guy over here that has nothing to do with anything, he's also William. Just stop. Just stop. Anyway, this does all go back to the Jesuits. All roads lead to Rome. McSteamy, 99, dead 99 days after the Superior General's birthday. And if you don't know who McSteamy is, it's Eric Dane's character, his main character that he's most known for on Grey's Anatomy, set in Seattle, who just won the Super Bowl, when every year Super Bowls bring a lot of deaths to celebrities, something we've educated about nonstop for a decade. And that's the thing also about yours truly's work. Every year I'm consistent as can be, showing the same patterns, the same numbers, the same rituals, how they all tie back to the same entities. And again, this group of weirdos, the weirdo clique, they don't want to talk about anything that matters. Watch if they do a decode on it. They won't bring up the Super Bowl. It'll just be connected to a whole bunch of nonsense that has nothing to do with anything. Anyway, Eric Dane, you can see it. His first episode of Grey's Anatomy was yesterday. Eric Dane, yesterday's Super Bowl, all 41-49. Again, the Seahawks just won in the 49ers stadium, avenging their Super Bowl 49 loss after blowing out the 49ers in the playoffs with 41 points. Same numbers over and over with the Super Bowl year after year. And here's what I missed earlier. He died exactly 41 weeks after the Pope's birthday. And remember, the last 3 times there was a new pope, Seattle went to the Super Bowl. And don't forget, Seattle became 19-19, exactly 19 weeks after the Pope's birthday in the playoffs, that is, advancing to the Super Bowl. Seattle, the 19 city. And now this man dead on the 19th, on the anniversary of debuting in the Seattle show. But yeah, dead exactly 41 weeks after Pope. And the 41st composite, and Eric Dane also played Tom Chandler, which equals 58 as well. His third most known character from The Last Ship, which to me feels something alike about what's going on with Iran. Because, here, let me make sure I'm not mistaken about that. The Last Ship TV show debut episode, I believe it was June 22nd. Yeah, it was June 22nd. So 11 years to the day, you guys, June 22nd, 2025 was the day that we bombed Iran. And right now that's in the news too. Trump deliberating on bombing Iran again. So that, again, just the way they do all this stuff, it's just, it's amazing. And it's also totally sick and demonic, but there's no way man could ever do this. What do you guys, I hate reading these comments. What do you mean there's no way man could ever do it? What, basic elementary and planning and measuring? Or is that when you guys walk through a city with all this amazing architecture and skyscrapers, do you guys like say, what, God built it, Satan built it? Man could never do this. measure and build and calculate. God. Just, man. They raised a society of dopes here, you guys, and I'll be a broken record about that, too. That's the whole reason this work's not the most viral thing on the internet. Should have been the most viral thing on the internet for over a decade straight. Explains everything every day. But yeah, exactly 41 weeks after the Pope's birthday, when we already knew the whole Super Bowl is about the Pope. And again, what do they play for in the Super Bowl? Don't they play for the Lombardi Trophy, named after the Jesuit when the Jesuits served the Pope? So day after day, you just see the perfect rituals synced with the superior general and the Pope. The superior general is known as the Black Pope. The Pope's obviously known as the White Pope. It's not a race thing. It's the Black Pope is the leader of the Jesuits. And then, yeah, dead at 53, number that's been used with numerous Patriots rituals in the past. And don't forget, 53 is this huge football number, 53-man roster, 53 in a 30-yard wide field. Something I overlooked earlier, I mentioned that he died on the 50th day of the year after the Seahawks won the Super Bowl in their 50th season in 50 land San Francisco. But what I overlooked is that he was born in San Francisco. Eric Dane was born in San Francisco. And notice San Francisco also has the 202. Sam Darnold just had 202 passing yards in the Super Bowl. Seahawks first season, 76. San Francisco on the 122nd meridian, the blackout 50 days before the Super Bowl. And again, we talked about the Transformers blowing up in the halftime show and what that had to do with Super Bowl 47. The blackout Super Bowl, which was 412 days after the 49ers lost power in a Monday night game against Pittsburgh, the 412 area code, and where that could all fit in later this year. But yeah, the 202 in San Francisco is a reminder that today, the 20th of February, can be written 202, 20/2. Again, Eric Dane is a San Francisco native. And he did also play Tom Chandler, which also equals 50. Again, that's from The Last Ship. He died on the 19th. Again, Seattle became 19-19 in the postseason, exactly 19 weeks after the Pope's birthday to advance to the Super Bowl, where they found themselves up 19-0 shortly after the start of the second half. Don't forget Ellen Pompeo, the biggest star of Grey's Anatomy, which has ran 19 seasons at the time of his death. She's 56 right now. Super Bowl 60, which the Seahawks just won, was the 56th of the modern era. Seattle, WA. We'll get to some other 56s that matter here. Of course, he's on HBO, 56. Home box office we'll come back to where that fits in. Again, Euphoria, his second best known shows on HBO. But yeah, she's 56. She's from Everett, Massachusetts, which I find interesting because Everett, Washington, They say that Everett was actually the city that was supposed to be the big city, but it ended up being Seattle. Everett's where the military base is, just north of Seattle. There's also a massive military base just south of Seattle. Again, Seattle's very much a military city and a very Jesuit city. Again, there's only 27 Jesuit universities in the nation. 2 of them are in Washington State. 1 is in Seattle. The other is in Spokane, where the star of Euphoria is from, Sydney Sweeney. But yeah, notice from Lou Gehrig's last death anniversary to his death, 263 days, the 56th prime. Again, Super Bowl 60 was the 56th of the modern era. Cal Jacobs, his name in Euphoria is 60, going with this death. Clearly synced with Super Bowl 60 in the world of sports, like Lou Gehrig was a big sports star. And as another reminder, he made his debut in 2006 on Grey's Anatomy. That was their Super Bowl 40, the first time the Seahawks went to a Super Bowl, and they lost to the Steelers. That was the first of the Pope Bowls. Again, 40, 48, and 60 are the last 3 Super Bowls where we got a Pope. The Seahawks were in all of them. Lost to the Steelers, beat the Broncos, beat the Patriots. And yeah, Grey's Anatomy did debut on the 86th day of the year before the start of that season where the Seahawks went to their first Super Bowl and lost to the Steelers. Again, I mentioned that a Steeler died this week as well. I haven't done a video on that yet, but he won the Super Bowl 3 times, and he won it in 76, which was also the year that the Seahawks played their first NFL season. He won it in the season before at the start of 76. That following season, later in 76, was the Seahawks' first year. And Yeah, just with regards to the whole Pope connection, all roads leading to Rome. Again, Eric Dane's birthday leaves 52 days left in the year. He celebrated his last birthday in 2025. Pope, 56, we just talked about it. And he died 11 days after the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, avenging their loss from 11 Super Bowls earlier. His full name, Eric William Dane, 267, like Pope Leo's the 267th Pope. Don't forget, he's Pope Leo the 14th. And the Seahawks quarterback, Sam Darnold, who wears 14, just improved to 1-4 for his career versus the Patriots, with ref number 14 working the game 14 days before George Washington's birthday. Remember, Sam Darnold's running back is number 9, so you got 9 and 14 in the backfield. Like the Pope's birthday, 9-14. ALS and NFL have that overlap forwards and backwards. Again, Cassie Howard, the star of Euphoria. Her name's 53. She's also a Washington native. His main character that he's known for, Dr. Mark Sloan, 72, like Jesuit order. He was born in 72. Again, HBO was founded by Jesuits. Home box office, 72 and 54, like Jesuit order. From the day that he announced he was dying from Lou Gehrig's disease, the day that it became public information, it was April 10th, 2025. He's died 45 weeks later. Ritual equals 45. Major League 45. The Jesuit acronym in their logo, IHS, is 45. And I forgot to make the point, Lou Gehrig died in the year 41, the year of Pearl Harbor, right? 41, infamous year. Again, it goes with his name, Eric Dane, equaling 41. His death being connected to the Super Bowl and him dying exactly 41 weeks after the Pope took office. And again, when you think about these medical conditions and all roads leading to Rome, remember who has the biggest private hospital network in the world. It is the Catholic Church. They also have the biggest private school network, private orphanage network. There's no religion that owns more land in the world than the church. I mean, the Catholic Church is a massive entity, and it is the thing that once governed over Europe at the time this country was being founded. That's why the founders here gave us freedom of religion. The mistake they made was they should have done freedom from religion. If I could ever create my own nation, that would be a rule. Freedom from religion. If you're religious, keep it to yourself and make sure nobody knows about it. Again, you guys, I know a lot of you can't escape it because you were born into it and it's part of your brain and your identity and your positive thing into the world on this side. Little tiny town. So. And by the way, I did want to make this point about the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, just how baseball related it is, because baseball season's kicking off. Or is it just Ice Bucket Challenge alone? I guess it's just Ice Bucket Challenge. Or hold on. Maybe I'm just making... never mind. If I had a thought, I forgot what it was. I see Ice Bucket Challenge alone is 97. We know the Vatican just turned 97. Now we have another death connected to the world of ALS. In other news that's also important today, we talked about it at the start of this week, why the hockey championship should be the Canada and the United States, and that's what it will be for the gold medal this Sunday. The reason we thought that would be the case was, well, there were multiple reasons, but today, the day that the championship set, what happened a year ago today? A year ago today was the first time the NHL did the 4 nations face off, and they divided their star players into 4 major countries that have a lot to do with hockey. A year ago today, Canada beat America 3-2 in the 4 nations face-off tournament. So we thought today the championship would be set with, once again, Canada and the U.S. Exactly what happened. And Canada beating, who they beat earlier today? Finland, I think. beat them 3-2, just like how they beat the U.S. 3-2 last year on this day. And by the way, did you see when the women won the championship, won gold? They became 5-0 and made the opponent 3-2. I won't have to respond to them. Okay. 4:23 already. Okay. So yeah. And then the other thing is just the whole Trump beefing with Canada thing. That's also part of the reason they had Canada versus U.S. on this day a year ago. In the U.S., you're right today, 2/20, like Donald John Trump. So, congrats to the winners who took advantage of the rig. And I also got to share this because it's just like the weirdest thing ever. We know on the weekend I had, or was it Monday? I guess it was Monday. It seemed like it was the weekend because it was a 3-day weekend for a lot of us. But, well, I don't have any days off. I work every day. But for a lot of people, it was a 3-day weekend, including Sweet Lady. We had the conversation debate thing with the guy who probably has a few screws loose in his head, thinks he's Neo from the Matrix. I'm pretty sure he actually, all of his ideas, I'm pretty sure he's taken from other people. Because there was a guy years ago, you might recall, he had a smaller channel. His name was Spudgy Pang. It was pointed out to me, and I know it's true because I remember Spudgy Pang from, I've been around that long. It was Spudgy Pang who connected the dots to June 11th and Seattle and Elvis. And I never thought it was the most solid decode, but now the one guy's run away with it. And he's claiming that God gave him the message. Anyway, I do got to say that something really weird happened today in my life in light of this man saying I'm going to die this year on June 11th. And understand, he guaranteed I was going to die on June 11th about 5 years back. It was the day I was out at the March for Our Lives rally. Obviously, I didn't die. I don't disagree with him that at some point in the future, and not necessarily Seattle, but just about anywhere, June 11th could end up being a massive date. I've explained why in the past with my own work. It's a very similar date to 9/11. But this happened this morning, and I was just so weirded out by this. I was like, what in the world? I mean, okay. My dad said he was going through a thing. My dad hangs on to everything. He just has boxes of just all kinds of random crap in his garage. And he's going through a box that's full of papers. And he said, I was going through this box of papers, and I found your first season in Little League. I kept everybody's stats that year for the team. And so he handed me the piece of paper, and then I look at it, and I'm surprised by nobody. Maybe you guys didn't watch the stream, but I said, does anything stand out about this? And none of you guys seem to catch. Well, 2 of you guys did, but a lot of you are like, I don't see anything. And I'm just like, did they not watch the stream this week? Look at what date is circled on there. Can you guys see that? June 11th, 93. So we played our last game that year for Little League season. This is my first year in Little League. I would have been 9 years old, approaching 10. My dad told me this morning I was the youngest player on the team, so I played the least. But I was looking at this. I was like, well, some people had less at bats than I did, so they must have played less. But I was always young for my age. I was, when you start kindergarten, there's an age range, and I think the cutoff is September 1st. I'm born at the end of July, so I'm near the end of that. But I do remember my first year in Little League, because you're playing against kids who are 12 years old as a 9-year-old. A lot of the kids are 12, 10, 11, 12. But I do remember, it's funny, the hit by pitches on there. My very first at bat by a Little Leaguer was getting nailed in the helmet by this kid. His name was Danny. I won't put his last name out there. His poor dad got arrested for tax evasion and went to prison. I remember that as a kid too. But Danny was tall as hell and 2 grades ahead of me. Danny played a power forward for our high school basketball team. And the center for our team was an NFL player, Michael Roos, who played 10 years in the NFL as a left tackle. But Danny was a good athlete, and he was the first person I had to pitch. It's funny how your mind works. I don't really remember anything about Little League baseball other than my first at bat, and it was getting nailed in the helmet by a kid who was probably nearly 6 feet tall as a 12-year-old. And he threw hard too. But I remember my next at bat, I also nailed a nice shot off him that rolled to the fence. But yeah, no, I was looking at this. I was like, wow, look how crazy that is my first season. I went 7 for 21. That's my birthday. I remember the rest of the years I dominated, but that was as a little kid being the little runt on the field. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. I thought, what in the world? Like, how does my dad just pull this out of a box this week in a week where a guy says I'm going to die on June 11th? And look at it. I mean, isn't it funny? Look at that. It says hold on. Total on base, total at bats. So for total at bats, because if you don't know how baseball works, if you get walked or hit by a pitch, you have a sacrifice, it doesn't count as an at bat. So I had 11 walks, a hit by pitch, and 21 at bats, which adds up to 33. So I was 19 for 33 at getting on base in 33 attempts. But yeah, this year is going to be the 33rd anniversary of my last game in my first year of Little League. And then you got to love the 11 walks and 6 runs too. It's almost like a double 11-6. So the prophecy of the madman, is it somehow being echoed? He didn't get it right 5 years ago, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm still not too worried about June 11th. There's nowhere to run to. It could be around that time frame. We get the Janet Napolitano warning. So, but no, it was too weird. When my dad handed me this morning, at first I didn't really even look at it, but then I was walking home and I thought, what in the hell? June 11th. Yeah. This kid down here, Nick, he ended up playing at Jesuit in Portland and ended up being the star quarterback for the football team. Man, he wasn't very good at baseball. That's why I was like, how the hell is he the star football quarterback? 4 for 22, Nick. And he was like at the other end of the age range for the grade. He's like the older end of the grade. I'm at the younger end. 4 for 22. But hey, a reminder to stay resilient, because he ended up being a very good high school quarterback playing at Jesuit. It's funny looking at this because Sean, whose name is Sean was a good athlete. He was a husky kid. He was that fat kid that could run well, and him and I were good friends, but then we weren't allowed to play with each other because our parents got into a fight at a baseball game. So then our parents didn't let us hang out anymore. And they were fighting over who should be the starting pitcher. I don't think that happened my first season. I think it was like 2 years later. It was funny looking at this though, man. That Corey kid ended up burning down his house. Kevin ended up being crazy as hell, but had the cutest sister. I don't know, man. It's funny. It's funny what your mind can remember when you're just given a piece of paper. So, but yeah, how weird is that? I mean, you can't tell me that's not weird. My dad just pulls this out of nowhere 4 days after the madman tells me I'm going to die on June 11th again. All right. Life is stranger than fiction. So, all right. Anyway, I do got to go pick up Sweet Girl. Thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share. And we'll see what tomorrow brings. Till next time, True Seeker.